Hi everyone, and welcome to week 2 of the Stretch and Strengthen series. So today we're going to do a little bit of exercises and stretches to help our necks and our upper backs. So I've got a couple of weights to use today. They're only 1 kilo each. Some good alternatives to weights are maybe something around the house, or there might be some water bottles. About a litre of water is about 1 kilo, so you can use them as well. I've also got a chair because we will be using a chair today. So if you're following along today, make sure that you've got 2 hand weights and a chair and you'll be sweet. So today we always start off with some gentle warm-up exercises. So I've gotten us to do a few neck movements first, just to get the movements through the joints, to get the blood flow going, so we're not kind of working out our necks cold. So we're going to start with just doing some gentle neck movements up and down, just to get that range of motion going. Doesn't have to be fast, just nice and slow, feeling that stretch in the full extension and full flexion, trying to get that chin down to your chest. So as you can see, I've got my little program next to me. That's just to keep me updated on what I'm doing. It's good to refer back to as well if you're following along on these videos. And once you've done a few of the neck up and downs, we're just going to go side to side, very gently. You don't want to push it too hard. It's just a nice movement to get the blood moving through our neck. Probably notice I can't get very far with my neck. You might be able to get more, you might be able to get less. It's not about where you're getting to now, it's about trying to build that movement and that range of motion. As you do this more and more, you'll find that you'll get your ear closer to your shoulder. Remember to keep your shoulders down as well. Try not to be hunched up while we're doing this one. Once we've gone side to side, we'll do a very gentle rotation. So this is going in circles, all the way chin to chest, around and up, looking up and around. So very gentle here. Remember, this is at your own pace, so you don't have to go as quick as me or as slow as me. We're just taking our time and change direction. Necks can sometimes get a bit tight if you hold a lot of tension, or you might be, necks can be tight from so many different things, one of them being stress as well. So it's good to try and just let that tension go with these exercises, but also taking deep breaths, trying to focus on the area, just to let it relax, and hopefully that might help to just release some of that tension if you focus on it and just focus on those muscles, trying to release them. Next up, we're just going to do a few little shoulder rolls. So this is just fairly simple. You can do this standing or sitting. We're just going to roll our shoulders up, back and down, and go all the way around. Now you can do this with your hands on your knees like I've got, or you can place your hands on your shoulders. It's up to you. Hands on the shoulders is just a bit harder, especially if you don't have that range of motion, but it's good to get the shoulders moving, especially back. I don't like to do this the other way where we're going forward. I like to keep them going back, because sometimes the chest getting a bit tight can contribute to that neck pain and neck stiffness and tightness. So we want to try and open up through our chest. And especially if you work at a desk all day, or if you're driving all day, because we might be sat like this all day or sat like this on the desk, that can just contribute to that tightness in your chest, which pulls your chest and neck forward, and it can make these muscles a bit tighter. So I will do quite a bit on the chest today, stretching wise. If you're wondering why, that's why. And then next up, we're just going to go down to the floor, just very quickly, and in this position we're just going to do a few cat-cow poses. Now we did do them last week. This time I want you to focus on cat-cowing through the upper back and the thoracic spine more so. So when we go up, we're trying to push our ribs up, trying not to focus on the lower back, we're focusing on the upper back this time. Take a big deep breath in while you're in this position, and as you breathe out, going the other way. Now, I know it's hard, but try and focus on the shoulders coming back, trying to stretch through your chest. You can have a little bit of lumbar spines, the lower back can be curved a bit. It's very hard not to do that, but we're just gonna do a few more of these now. So taking a big deep breath in this position, pushing up through your upper back, and breathing out and going the other way. So this just helps to get a few kind of movements through the spine, through the neck, before we start working the muscles. Because if you don't give them a bit of a warm up, they're all stiff and they might not be as optimal throughout your exercises. And it just helps to reduce that stiffness as well. Couple more of these. These are really good to do in the morning when you might wake up. Might be a bit stiff through the neck, through the upper back. If you just give a few of these, 30 seconds in the morning and then again at night, you probably find if you've got a bit of neck pain or a bit of upper back pain, it might help a bit as you stick to it and relaxing there. So into the exercises now that we're all warmed up. So this exercise is a very simple one, and if you've just joined me on the Blue Jeans, they're welcome. I'm just starting the exercise portion now. So we've done the three warm-up exercises. Now it's called a chin tuck. So sometimes our neck flexor muscles in the front of our necks might get a bit weak, and they might cause your head to come a bit forward, which puts a lot more strain on the back of your necks. And when these muscles are weak, sometimes it can, just cause a bit of imbalance in the neck. So it's good to try and strengthen them, and the only way to strengthen your neck flexor muscles are chin tucks. So what I want you to do is sitting just straight. You can sit, you can lie down, or you can stand, it's up to yourself. I prefer to sit against a wall because the wall helps to encourage that straight spine. I don't exactly have a wall behind me now, but we'll just pretend I do. And what I want you to do is very gently pull your chin into your neck, as if you're making a bit of a double chin. You can hear my voice going a bit funny. And then we're going to go back. Now I want you to try and place your hands on these muscles here, the front of your neck. They're called your sternocleidomastoids. And I want you to try and feel for them as you make a double chin. And if they start spasming and they start moving, that means that you're not working the right muscles. So you need to probably lay down and do this exercise. But again, we're just going to do another one. If they're not moving at all, then that probably means you've got good strength in your neck flexors. So just a couple more. You can, if you've had a feel around, they're okay, you're going all right. You don't need to lay down. You can keep going with the neck chin tucks. And it doesn't have to be very many of these, just a couple. It might feel a bit weird at the start, but it's very positive in the long run doing quite a few of these. And you might find if you've got those tight muscles at the back of your head, back of your neck, this helps also to stretch them, especially if you're doing this lying down. If you're lying down, you're focusing more on that movement through the neck, trying to get your chin down to your chest. A couple more. You only really want to do as many as it takes to fatigue the muscle. Could be 5, could be 10. Once you start to feel these neck flexor muscles start to move a bit, it might mean that your actual deep neck flexors are quite fatigued. So that means you've done well and the exercise is done for that set. Just one more now, and I don't know if you can see, but my neck muscles at the front, they're going pretty well, so I'm thinking I can do probably 10. But if your neck muscles there are twitching, have a break, let your body relax, and you can get back into it in the next set. But we're going to go on to the next set of exercises now. So that one you can repeat probably 2 sets in a day. Probably wouldn't go much more than 2. It's a very small muscle in your neck, so trying to just strengthen it up very slowly is what you need to do. Now, if you've got your weights with you, I've got my dumbbells. If you've got water bottles, or I can see a few things around the room here that we could use, whatever you've got, if it's a kilo, if it's less, if it's more, Hopefully, if it's more, you can still handle it. But we're going to do a few exercises now. So when it comes to neck pain, sometimes it's maybe some weakness through the backs of, like the back of your upper back, sometimes tightness through the chest. So this exercise I'm about to do is called a fly, and it's to strengthen the muscles in our back. So when we were stretching our shoulders and we were doing the rolls, we're trying to stretch out that chest. Sometimes stretching isn't all you need. Sometimes we need to strengthen the back to help pull our chest out. So this exercise is really good for that. So what we're going to do is sit right up to the edge of our chair. So I've got a bit of a gap underneath my legs. I'm going to bend over very slightly, not hurting myself. If you've got pain in your lower back doing this, then I'd probably recommend to find a different way to do it. You could lie on a bench and do a similar movement. Bench is probably more common in the gym, but otherwise we're going to bend right over. Arms are going to be slightly bent. Hopefully you can see me there on the phone. I've got you up high. And we're just going to fly and pull our shoulder blades together and then come back. So very small movement. We're keeping our neck nice and long, trying not to hunch up in our shoulders. We're trying to keep our shoulders down, and we're just kind of flying through our back. Now, if the weight is a bit heavy and you're not getting up, you're kind of struggling here, you might need to go a bit less weight. And a good trick is, if you're using water bottles, just empty some of the water. The weight will get lighter. Otherwise, I recommend to do about 12 repetitions of this. So 12 times up and down, and then have a break, depending on the weight. So if you've got very heavy weight and you're not getting 12, do less. It's not about pushing yourself to the absolute maximum when we're looking at injury prevention, where we're trying to strengthen up to get that tone. That's the main priority. When you're up the top here, remember to squeeze through your shoulder blades, remembering neck long. And if that's how many you do, then have a short break, and it's good to just move around between the sets. So moving your shoulders around, opening up through your chest, maybe cat-cowing in that position in the chair. Otherwise, we're going to do another exercise now, because I like to do different ones. I like to keep you on your toes. So the next exercise we're going to do is we're going to bend over in a standing position and do some rows. So we're going to bend our knees slightly, bending right over. Hopefully no back pain. If you've got back pain, then it might be something you need to change up to suit your body. We're going to bend over. We're going to have our weights down just below our shoulders, and keeping my elbows close. I'll probably show you in this position first. Keeping my elbows close to my body, I'm going to row and bring the dumbbells towards my belly. So this is essentially going to work a similar muscle to the last exercise, but we're doing it in a different way, so it's got extra benefit. So I'll show you on the side. We're still bent over. We're not up here. We're trying to keep it as bent as we can, and we're rolling the weights up to our belly. So keeping elbows close together. We're not keeping them out here. We're keeping them close to the body, and we're rolling. And with this exercise as well, trying to squeeze through our shoulder blades. So imagine on your spine, in between your shoulder blades there, you've got a pencil, and you're trying to squeeze that pencil. Now keep breathing. It's important to breathe through these exercises. Again, a similar amount of reps for this I'd recommend. It depends on the weight, but I'd say if you've got a light weight, 12 to 15 is about normal. And about 3 sets as well. We won't do 3 in this class. This is more just to show you the technique. And stand up. If your back's a little sore from bending over that whole time, give it a bit of a stretch. Might want to move around. Otherwise, we're going to go back to our seated position and back to the first exercise. Just do 2 sets of these, just so that you can get a bit of a workout during the video as well. But the idea is that you take the program away and you do the program yourself. Now, sitting at the edge of our seat again, feet can be together or apart. I like to keep mine together just so there's not as much room when I'm going underneath. but it's up to yourself, whatever's comfiest. So bending over again, and we're just going to do a very easy fly, squeeze through those shoulder blades. You probably find that both these exercises, you probably could go different weights. So this one here is a bit lighter weight, that is necessary. The other one, a bit heavier, you can probably get away with because it's a bit easier. Now it's important with these exercises that we're not just kind of thrusting our arms around. That's not what we want to be doing. It's more about the control. So controlling that movement up and down. So if you were just to go up and then let it go down, that's not going to be as beneficial. We're trying to go up really controlled and down really controlled, because that movement down is that eccentric phase of the exercise, and you actually get more benefit from that one. One more, and then we'll stand up again and relax. Hopefully our muscles in our backs are already helping to pull our chest back, helping our neck tightness. So bending over as far as you can go comfortably. If you're all the way down here, that's fine. Probably feel quite a bit of a stretch in your hamstring. Otherwise, wherever's comfortable for you, as long as you're not upright, that's the only thing. If you're upright doing this exercise, you're actually going to be tightening those muscles more than what you probably want. So bent over, focusing on shoulders back, not hunched forward, and we're just going to do a row, bringing the dumbbells right up to our belly buttons, squeezing through our shoulder blades, keeping our elbows close to our body. We're not coming out like this, we're keeping them close, if you can see that. I'll keep on my side so you can see. And with the necks as well, try not to be looking off to the side while you're doing this exercise. Try and keep your neck neutral with the rest of your spine, looking straight. And I know it's hard with the video in front of you, but if you can just try and listen to my voice, if I'm hopefully explaining it well, and that will be better. Because if you're off to the side, the muscles are a bit imbalanced. Couple more. And as well, if you can see, my lower back, I'm not rounded, I'm very straight through my lower back. That's the number one key when it comes to that exercise. If we're just rounded, kind of bent over, doing like that, it's not going to do much, and it's not going to be very good for your lower back either. Now, moving along to the next exercise set. So we've got two exercises now. One is called a shrug. We're going to place one dumbbell down. We don't need it at the moment. So this exercise is called a shrug, and it's good for the muscles at the top of our neck. So these muscles here can get quite tight, and sometimes the deep ones are the tighter ones, so we need to actually strengthen up through these outer muscles that, you know, might feel like the tight ones because they're quite weak and they're not taking their load. It's all pulling on your neck rather than the actual muscle themselves that's supposed to be doing the work. So we're going to hold the weight. We're going to have our hand facing forward, so we're not holding it the other way, we're keeping our hand forward. And with this shoulder, just the one, we don't have to do anything with this hand. I like to place my hand on my hip just because that helps. We're just going to bring our shoulder as close as we can to our ear, but we're not holding it there for too long. So this is only to be done with a very small weight, especially if you have neck tightness already, because it's good for endurance. We're not exactly building the muscles there, we're building the endurance in the actual muscle itself. So it's very lightweight. If it's any heavier than a kilo, probably shouldn't be doing this exercise. Now, keeping very controlled, remember? So we don't want to be just moving our shoulder up and down. We want to be very slowly up, 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 down, down, down. About 2 counts each way. And once you've done about 10 to 20 on one arm, you can change. And again, up, up, down, down. And it's important not to try and tense up as well. It's supposed to be a very easy movement. We're not tensing the muscles too much. It's just working through its contraction. Big deep breaths, And once you've done about 10 to 20, it starts to burn up, stick around that rep until you get better and better each time. You can have a bit of a break, move your shoulders around, and we'll do the next exercise. So this next exercise is a one-arm one as well, so we only need the one weight. This one can just kind of stay away for now. We're going to place one knee on the chair that you hopefully have. If it's a hard chair, maybe get a pillow underneath for your knee. One arm on the chair as well. Now, similar to that bent over row that we did, it's going to be one-handed, and we've got the chair there for support, so we're not putting all that pressure on our backs. You can go a bit heavier with this one, so you can put a bit more weight in your hand. It's up to you where you're at. It's obviously you don't want to go too heavy. It's not about building those muscles, it's about toning those muscles. So with this one, we're going to row again. It's called one arm row. What we're going to do is bring our elbow towards the back, towards our lower back, and we're going to do a little chicken wing and bring it back down. So with this one, my back is very straight. I'm not kind of hunched. I'm keeping everything straight, and we're keeping our elbow close to our body. We're not putting it out here. We're doing a little chicken wing, and it's helping strengthen through our upper back again. If you can hear on the microphone, it's raining. It's nice weather outside. So it's really important to try and tighten up through your shoulder blade. So that muscle in between your shoulder blade and your spine, that's the one we're working. So you want to try and focus on that squeezing again. And again, the weight is going around about where your belly button is. So you want to do about, again, 12 to 15 of these ones, each arm, and then you can switch. So we'll do the other arm now. I'm going to put that, wrong knee. It's the same knee as the hand on that side of the chair. We're going to bend over, keeping our back straight. I like to straighten this leg, but you can have it slightly bent. It's whatever your preference is. And we're again just going to bring the dumbbell up to our belly button and back down, making that little chicken wing. As well, remember to try and keep your neck straight. So the straighter your neck, the better. I know I'm looking at the camera, but I'm hoping that you can hear me over this heavy rain. So only about 10 to 12 of these, or 12 to 15, sorry. And again, about 3 sets is where you want to be aiming for. So that means repeating the whole thing 3 times. One more, and resting there. So that's those exercises. We won't repeat those again because we're running out of time, but I just want to do one more exercise to show you, and then we'll get into the stretches. And the stretches are one of the most important ones when it comes to the neck and the upper back. So this last exercise, you can go a bit heavier again. I'll keep the one weight, but if you want to put an extra weight in, you're more than welcome. This one is just a very simple one, and it works our lats, which is again our upper back. So I've got the picture there, and it shows on a chair, but I couldn't find one laying down. But we're going to lay down enough. We're going to hold the weight above our face, and this is just very simple. We're just going to lower the weight down above our head, and then bring it straight back up. Now you can just have your feet on the ground, you can have your knees in 90, you can have your feet flat if you want. But I like to add in a little bit extra with this exercise, and I like to lift my legs up. And that just makes me work my abs as well. So we did something similar to this last week. And by holding my legs up, I'm also working through my core. So it's a bit of an efficient exercise. So with this one, we're trying to tighten through here when we're pulling the weight back up. So we're essentially strengthening up through that shoulder girdle as well as our upper back. About 12 to 15 of these is about standard, so once you've done 12 to 15, have a break, maybe do one of the other exercises in the program, and then go back to it. and we'll rest there. Alright, so that's all the exercises today. We'll go into a few stretches now, so I'll just move my program over. So when it comes to the neck and the upper back, a lot of the time the muscles are quite tight, and stretching is actually one of the most important things, especially if you're sitting at a desk or in a car all day. Stretching in between the day as you have breaks is going to be really important, because when we're sitting in a car, when we're sitting at a desk, we're holding that position and we're in that static posture for quite a while, so our muscles get quite tense. So a good one to do, especially if you sit in a car or at a desk all day, is stretching through the chest. So the chest actually is one of the biggest ones that can pull your shoulders forward, which pulls your neck and gives quite a nasty bit of tension through there. So a good way to stretch your chest is having your arm out straight, hand with your fingers facing behind you towards your back, put it up against a wall, or in this case I've got a desk. Usually want it to be about shoulder height, and by holding this position and just slightly twisting the opposite way, we're getting a lot of movement through our chest muscle, and that you might feel travels all the way down to your hand. It does for me. But we're just going to hold this position, and it's about 30 seconds that you want to hold most stretches. So I'll hold it for probably close to 30, but if I hold less and you count, make sure you hold it for longer. The hand position is the most important here. So you want to have your arm straight and your hand with the fingers facing towards your back. If it's the other way or up, you're not going to get as much of a benefit. Once you've done one side, we can go on and do the other. So I've got another table back here I've planned well. And we're just slightly twisting to pull extra tension out of that chest. Now, most of you will probably have a doorway at your house. So if you've got a doorway, then I'll try and simulate it here. You've got the two doors, come up to it, holding onto the ledges, and pull away as well, and that will help stretch your chest as well. I've got a bit of a V here, so that can kind of simulate a doorway. Yeah, really good to use, because you can use your body gravity to pull and get a bit of an extra stretch there. And another way you can stretch your chest, just one more stretch for this one, is hands behind your back, interlace your fingers and straighten through your arms. As you can see, my hands are fully outstretched, I'm holding tight though, and we can push our chest forward. So if you don't have a wall nearby, this is another good one. So just pushing your chest forward, keeping your arms locked, fingers interlaced. You might even feel a bit of this through your biceps. A few deep breaths are really good as well. And relax. Give it a bit of a shake. So sometimes the chest can be tight, sometimes the biceps are very tight. So that stretch was also good for the biceps. Another one that you can do for them is this very standard wrist stretch. It also does the biceps. Otherwise, if you've got a table in front of you, preferably on the horizontal, but essentially you want to kind of do this with the table in front of you, say if it was flat, and lean over, and you'll feel a good stretch through your biceps as well. Otherwise, we've done biceps, we've done chest. The other muscle that can sometimes get tight and hurt your neck as well, or upper back, is actually the triceps. So you might have a feel there and they might be quite tense, there might be a few little pains that get shot through. These can get very tight because of that holding position. So a good stretch to do for your triceps is one arm on the shoulder, holding our back with that arm and just pushing very gently the tricep down. So you should feel this through this arm, and this one's just assisting by pushing. And to increase this stretch just a little bit more through the back as well, we can do a little bit of a lean. And that lean will help to stretch through the lats, the muscle that we worked just before. So again, holding for 30 seconds if you can. It's very tight, you'll know about it. And if you've held it for 30, we can change arms. You might find this one's a bit tighter. If 2 arms up is not working for you, you can try to just touch the hands together at the back. That's also a very similar stretch, it's just not as intensive. So by having the other arm up there, pushing the tricep down, that just makes it a bit more intensive. And again, if it is a bit hard for you to get this arm up here, and the shoulders are just not doing it for you, you can hold a towel or something with this hand that you're stretching, and you can hold it on your other arm underneath and you can pull. So that's another way to do this stretch without having to get both shoulders up overhead, which might be a bit uncomfortable. Wish I had a towel here that I could show you. Imagine this weight is a towel. So I've got the towel and I'm just pulling with the other hand. Obviously not as much space, but that still does the same thing, and it shortens the amount of space that you need to have, well, lengthens it, sorry, not shortens. So that's triceps and biceps and the chest. Now let's do a bit more on the actual neck. So I'm going to bring my chair over now because I want to do this in a seated position. It's nice and relaxed then. The first exercise is going to be for that front of neck. So sometimes this actually can get tight as well, not just weak, and it can pull your neck forward as well. So these muscles that I mentioned earlier that we were feeling for, they're the sternocleidomastoids. They will usually attach right up behind the ear, come right down to the clavicle or the collarbone. What I want you to do is hold on to that collarbone where that muscle sits. So it should be just up there, just hold it. You don't have to pull it or anything. And we're just going to slightly rotate our head back and to the side. And you should feel that stretch through that whole front of neck. And if you take your hand away, you notice you don't really get that stretch as much. By holding it, we're increasing the amount of stretch through the muscle. And if you're thinking, oh, I'm not getting this, have a feel around. You might be holding in the wrong position. It's usually right on top of that divot, just off to the side. And you'll feel the pull kind of just under the jaw, up through there. And if you've got the program, you can see the picture. It gives a bit of an idea. And relax very gently. Going to the other side, holding that collarbone and twisting and lengthening. And if you're wondering where to put your head, move it to where you feel you're feeling that stretch. That's where you're supposed to be. It's a touch and feel kind of one. There's no set way to do it. Everyone's different. And again, holding for 30 seconds and then you can relax. If you're wondering why 30? 30 seconds is actually the amount of time for the mechanism in there to release. So that's why they say 30 seconds. If you're just holding stretches for 5-10 seconds, you're not actually letting the muscles release themselves, so you're not getting much benefit. It's almost not worth it. So it's good to hold for 30. That's when your body's physiological response will actually release the muscle, as far as it's safe to do so, of course. Cool. And relax, letting that go. Hopefully not too painful up there. Mine got a bit tight there. You know, you can feel it sometimes. If it's starting to really get sharp, then it might be that you need to just let off a little bit. You don't want to push stretches. It's about progression. Now, the next stretch we're going to do is we're going to place our hand underneath our leg. So we're going to anchor down our arm and we're going to gently pull our head, and when I say pull, I'm talking very gentle pressure, and we're just going to pull our head off to the side with our face looking forward, and you should feel this stretch through that side of the neck upper trap muscle. So by having our hands underneath our leg, we're helping anchor our arm, which helps to just pull. It's like when we're holding our muscle here, we're doing a similar thing with this one as well. This is a really good stretch, especially if you carry a lot of tension up through your shoulders. I recommend to do this one every day if you can. And then another variation of this stretch, you can actually look down and twist your head off to the side, and you'll feel the stretch a little bit further back from your neck. So this is a good one to do for they call it the levator scapular muscle. And if you've held it for 30 seconds, relaxing. Placing our other hand on the other leg. Now very gently, we don't want to yank it, just a very gentle pull to the side. And then we're going to look down this time, and again, just gently pushing your head off to the side as well. You'll feel it through the back of your neck a bit more. And relaxing there. Okay. Last little bit, we're just going to go onto the floor now. So getting that chair out of the way, we don't need that anymore. We're just going to lie on our fronts in child's pose position. So if you can, we've got our knees together or separate, together or apart, up to you, whatever's comfortable. And we're just going to lean forward, and we're just going to place our forehead on the mat and just relax in this position to start off with. So this is a good one to lengthen through our spine. It's good for the lower back, but also the upper back. And in this position, what we're going to do is just move our hands very slightly over to one side, and holding that position and just pulling away from where our hands are. So you should feel this through the side body. Taking a few deep breaths and over to the other side. And then coming back to the middle, we're going to do a stretch called thread the needle. So with this one hand, we're going to place it underneath the other, and we're just going to do a very gentle twist. So if you've got a lot of flexibility and you're able to, you can probably get your body right underneath, but it's up to you wherever you feel comfortable. You should feel this stretch through your ribs, through your upper back. And changing sides. And coming back. And that's us done today. So I hope you enjoyed it. it was definitely a really good one for me, because especially with the neck, sitting at a desk all day can get quite tight. So if you can, try and do this at least once a week. It'll really help if you're getting a lot of tension through your neck and upper back. And if you do have any injuries, remember this class, it's not designed at being your rehabilitation, it's more prevention. So if you do have an injury there and you're not sure, I'd really recommend seeing a physio. But otherwise, I look forward to next week. We're doing some more exercises and stretches for a specific body part. So keep an eye out on your emails. I'll be sending out the program sometime this week. But thank you for coming.